India Today now brings you from its 1990 Kashmir archives. What exactly happened with the Kashmiri Pandits? How did Pakistan-sponsored terrorists on the ground in the valley unleashed targeted violence and mayhem and horror, leading to eventually the exodus of the minuscule Hindi minority? This is unmissable. Special report from India Today's 1990 Kashmir Archive. Look. Kashmir faced horror in 1947 when Pakistan-backed Qabali invaders attacked the valley. But by 1980s, radicalization and fundamentalism had started to spread unabated. Pakistan-sponsored terrorism was influencing young Muslim men to take up weapons in Kashmir and destroy India. By 1989 in Kashmir, a storm of hatred was spread against the minuscule Hindu minority. Attacks against Hindus and Sikhs started to increase. In 1989, a mob would gather on the streets shouting slogans in support of Pakistan. Slogans then turned threatening and directed against the minority, and Pakistan's influence started to increase. Hindu men and women were intimidated into silence first, and then asked not to wear their marks of religious identity. Women specifically were threatened of acid attacks, rape and conversions. On 14th September 1989, Tikalal Taplu was killed in broad daylight. This was the first murder of a popular political voice, sending shivers among the scared Hindu minority. The Kashmiri Pandits ever since observe 14th September as the Balidan Divas, remembering this killing. On 4th November 1989, retired Judge Neelkant Ganju was assassinated outside the High Court. He had given the death sentence to JKLF terrorist and founder Maqbool Bhatt. On 27th December in South Kashmir's Anantnag, another lawyer, Premnath Bhatt, was gunned down. Targeted killings of Kashmiri Hindus has begun.
हमने उसको इससे पहले भी वार्निंग दे दी थी कि हम आपको कत्ल कर देंगे। उसने कई बार हमसे राब्ता कायम करके ये बोला कि हम डरते नहीं हैं, हम हिंदुस्तानी हैं, हम हिंदुस्तान के लिए मारेंगे भी, कोई परवाह नहीं। हमने सोचा, हमने बहुत बार उसको वार्निंग भी दे दी, कोई ब्लास्ट हुआ भी हुआ। बाद में उसने जबरदस्ती अंगेजी करके हमारे कुछ आदमियों को पीछा करवाया शिवसेना के जरिए, जिसके ऊपर हम मजबूर होकर उसको खत्म कर डाला।
The terror outfit behind these Hindu killings was the Jammu Kashmir Liberation Front, the JKLF. The target, non-Muslims, pro-India political voices. The mission, to eventually establish an extremist Islamic mandate. JKLF terrorists on 8 December 1989 had kidnapped Rubaya Saeed. She was the daughter of India's Home Minister, Mufti Muhammad Saeed. But facing political pressure, 5 terrorists were released by the VP Singh government at the centre. And at the state, the government was led by Farooq Abdullah.
I don't want to comment on it. Would the government have acted differently had it not been the Home Minister's daughter?
I don't know, because human being is a human being, girl is a girl.
While this incident was unfolding, visuals emerging from Srinagar were horrifying. With the announcement of terrorists' release, Srinagar erupted in celebration. Processions were being carried out across the valley. The mob fire spread so fast that minority Hindus started to be targeted even beyond capital city Srinagar. In Anantnag, Sopore, Shopian, minorities were being deliberately and regularly attacked. During this mayhem, J&K's governor was former Indian Army Chief General K.V. Krishna Rao. By December 1989 itself, announcements were being made from mosques and rooftops threatening the Hindus to leave Kashmir and never return.
अगर आप लोग यहाँ से नहीं चले गए तो हम आपके मकानों को जलाकर राख कर देंगे। ये आपके लिए आखिरी मौका है। चले जाओ, इस कश्मीर से चले जाओ।
While the Kashmiri Pandits were being brazenly killed, then Chief Minister Farooq Abdullah was facing allegations of instead playing golf, attending dance and cultural functions, instead of focusing on his duty at such a critical time. By then, on Indian territory, Pakistan poison had spread.
कश्मीर के मुसलमानों, भारत को सबक सिखाने का एक ही तरीका, कश्मीर के मसले का एक ही हल, अल-जिहाद, अल-जिहाद, अल-जिहाद। कश्मीर हमारा छोड़ दो, कश्मीर हमारा छोड़ दो।
The slogans were now direct and shocking. Raliv, Saliv, Galiv. Convert to Islam or flee or die. Terrorists started to find shelter even in hospitals across Kashmir to avoid action against them. By 19th January 1990, Farooq Abdullah resigned from his CM position, while around him, Hindus were being targeted and killed on a daily basis. Governor Jagmohan was reinstated in Jammu and Kashmir. But after targeting killings and no support since 1989, Pandits were fleeing en masse. Jagmohan's appointment came at a time when the establishment had completely broken down in Kashmir.
I found a snake pit of chaos and confusion. I also found the total collapse of the administrative machinery, sway of the cult of gun, and there were thousands and thousands of pigeons, frightened pigeons, in the cage of terrorism.
Pakistan, via its terror recruits on the ground and via media channels PTV, were fueling more hatred from across the border into Kashmir. And with nobody to rescue, by the end of January, Hindu minority was fleeing, huddled in trucks, buses, taxis, by any means possible. They stayed in open in the winter temperature, lived in broken tents, and most families did not even have food available to eat. On 21st January, CRPF opened fire at a communal procession that turned violent, leading to the death of more than 50 Kashmiris. Meanwhile, Hindus who had stayed back started to be now killed more brazenly. Doordarshan director Lassa Kaul was killed in February, and finally by April, after torture and skinned bodies of Sarvanand Kaul Premi and his son were found hanging from the tree by the terrorists, Kashmir was emptied out of its original inhabitants, the Kashmiri Pandits. Till 2000, lakhs of Pandits had left and the forced exodus continues. By 2022, now less than 800 families are left in Kashmir, scattered and most living alone in localities. Kashmiri Pandits today struggle to retain their unique religious identity while their killers are free and unaffected.